All right, it says we're live. It says we're live. Hey there,
Then we
brother. Good
must be
morning.
live.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome.
It's
We're
nice to see you
not too late.
guys this morning. Who's ready for some mystery?
That's the subject. That's the subject we're
Yeah.
doing. I would say that your background looks more mysterious than mine.
Yeah. Well, yours is like mysteriously sucky. Like, why is
Why
it that
does it,
somebody so cool
why
lives in
does it
such a
suck so bad? My
junky
friend,
space?
I have a best friend that owns a software company, and he says, "You are the only person I've ever met that has this many subscribers on YouTube and still uses a flip phone." That was back when I used a flip phone.
And popcorn
Yeah.
ceilings. You might be the all-time highest popcorn ceiling subscriber.
That dates things a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody does popcorn ceilings like me,
And
Joe.
how about the Bon Jovi hair?
It's not bad.
That-
It's nice because I can see your scalp right down to the middle because your hair going straight out. So I can kind of like
There's a way to paint that. You
if
know
you
that
were
effect.
if you were balding, that would be the spot. That would
That'd
be
be
the
it.
spot.
That'd be it. I predict here first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we got to get on subject here. Let's not kill too much time. We're talking
Yeah.
about mystery.
Well,
We're gonna
we got a room full of peeps here, which is kind of fun. What's up,
nice.
Ariella and America and
I
Jacob and
see that.
Swearing and
I see
Mavis and
that.
Raymond
Nice.
and
Thank you for being here, everybody. This is cool.
all y'all.
All right. Yeah. Good morning. And so this we're not experts on this topic. We've just noticed that it's an important topic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's mysterious how one creates mystery.
Oh, I see
Mm,
what you did there. That was clever.
mm,
It is indeed things that make you go. Hmm.
mm.
So
Well, so it just looks cool
yeah,
when it's foggy, right?
that's
Like,
it.
who
Atmosphere.
hasn't walked
That's like
around
the number one thing.
and like looked around on a foggy day and thought to themselves, "This looks cool."
Everything is funner when it's foggy. That's how
Right?
I feel
Nobody
about
like
fog.
walked around
Yeah.
in some thick fog and thought to themselves, "Well, this is boring."
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. It's
You know,
not boring.
it's really cool.
But it does get to a point. To be fair, it does reach a point in time when it becomes rather stale, boring
Yeah.
fog because you can't see very far. You're like,
Yeah.
well, this is all I get.
Well, there's an interesting problem too, and maybe we'll address this later, but
Okay.
being in a foggy area and taking a picture of a foggy area, two very different things.
Right. Right.
You know, pictures of foggy areas don't look great. Being in foggy areas feels magical.
Ah, that's a good distinction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have to untangle that.
Yeah.
Mary
Yeah.
Magma,
Well,
what's up? Welcome.
I'm going to do a little bit of a foggy scene here while we're
So we're going
welcoming
to try
people.
and do that. We're going to try and make like a dramatic sense of atmosphere here and see
Yeah.
if we can just like make
We're
stuff
gonna
vanish.
we're gonna morph it. We're gonna morph the picture as we go. We'll see what happens as we kind of toy with this element of the unknown. As I think another way to phrase this is the element of the unknown. But it's that part of your creative work that makes a viewer want to know the story, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
what's the story?
Yeah, mystery.
Yeah,
Mystery.
Life's full of it. Let's not get too heavy.
Mystery.
Remember how our dad, whenever we were going to get a good talking to, there was always that throat clearing. Now, Joe, you remember that?
The throat clearing.
Yeah, you remember that? One of the nuances.
To this day.
Yeah.
If he's still to say anything upsetting, it's gonna start with
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, in the what made me think of
that. So, what do you think of the current political situation?
Yeah. I've got. In other words, I'm here to tell you.
$5 came up missing in my wallet.
Yeah, exactly. It's funny because that kind of takes the mystery out of the intent. You're like, okay, I know what's coming.
Yeah.
Read you like a book. I was just thinking we're like that with each other too. Me and you, we've talked enough that we know the nuances of each other's tone. We're like, okay, I can see where
Yeah.
I can see where
Well,
you're
we've
going.
talked a lot in our lifetimes.
Yeah,
So
that's how it is with someone close to you.
yeah, there
And
is that.
there's not a lot of mystery
No.
when you've talked to someone a
So
million
mystery
times.
is not everything. It's a thing. Familiarity is also
Hey,
great.
has its
But
place, right?
mystery is cool. Mystery is a fun thing to play with. Why do I like mystery? I'm gonna tell
Let's
you
get
guys
into
why
it.
I like mystery. While Joe's peeling paint off, he's doing his ceremonial
We
paint
gotta get
peeling.
Yeah, right. Your view is about 10 seconds behind because of the latency.
Yeah.
So I'm getting on my canvas here.
Well, mystery gets us out of bed. Mystery draws us in. Everything about being is mysterious. I often think of myself as just a mystified.
It is.
You
I agree with that. It is, and why are we such the type that we just can't stop dwelling on it? Some people are just okay accepting. I have friends like that, and I ask them these deep questions about the essence, the being, like what are these things made of, where they come from, and there's, I got a friend, he's a great friend, awesome guy, but he'll just shrug. I don't know. I never really think about it.
Dude, for the life of me, I don't know how anybody goes through life soberly and doesn't just get weirded out at their own consciousness.
Yeah, like what is all this? We have no context or like building foundation for it. It's just
There's all these
here, and
flesh bags everywhere. There's this like sense of a reality with all this matter and mass, and yet like it all vanishes, and it's all just like
oh yeah,
temporary or in some world that doesn't matter in a way,
what was
but matters entirely in another way. It's just
you had
the
mentioned
whole thing.
learning
The whole
about
thing is
some
weird.
in a previous live stream you talked about digging into some quantum physics stuff. What kind of weird stuff were you reading about? I want to hear that.
Yeah, man, have we talked about that at all?
Not really. You just kind of said that you were looking at it, and then we moved on.
Sure.
But
Well, what's fascinating is that there's some stuff going on, and I'll spare you guys the science. Before I get into this, actually, Mary Lena said she'd been watching you since she was 14, Joe.
What?
And now
That's
she's
awesome.
23.
Oh, thank you for watching. That's awesome.
9
Wow.
years. Just 9 years.
Man.
This woman has grown from a preteen to a young woman.
That's amazing.
The appetite of Mural Joe.
Well, I really appreciate being worth your time. Thank you. Thank you for continuing. Awesome. Yeah, that is. I'm really encouraged by that. Thank you. That's cool. So I'm trying to make a mistake. I'm going to start with kind of a mysterious looking forest. Keep going on what you're talking about, but I'm just.
Well, it's just an interesting thing going on with the universe, right? So we just wake up each day and we think to ourselves, well, here I am again. This is life. I'm going to have my coffee. I'm going to go take a dump. I'm going to go for a walk.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to get hungry. I'm going to do human things. I need to put water in there, food in there. I need it to come back out so that I can put more in and keep going.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
That's kind of the deal. On the surface, that's kind of the deal. That's the animal brain,
Yeah.
But we're also human brain. And so we're not just out here eating and pooping and walking around on the surface. We're also thinking, what am I?
What am I? Indeed.
We also have this strange capacity to contemplate what is beyond us, what is instead of us,
Yeah. Right.
What is in spite of us, right? And there's just this constant awareness of just a churning everything. Everything is always churning everywhere.
Yeah. And I think there's a point where you're best off to really just admit you don't have it. You don't understand it.
So to get to your point, the quantum physics is really just a way that like science science is now looking at that mysterious churning of everything, and then making it repeatable, making it
Yeah, because we're trying to
demonstrable,
build
making it
things.
scientific. You know, they're taking this weirdness of the world, weirdness of being, of matter and
Yeah.
existing, and they're trying to like quantify it and define it. And the more they do it, the more it just continues to be the same thing, which is fascinating, churning, living,
Mm.
beyond us, you
Yeah.
know, in spite of us. And so that's kind of
Yeah.
quantum physics from my perspective, is all the things happening beyond our perception that are just like, we're getting
Yeah.
glimpses at it. Like we're getting glimpses at particles. You know, you can look at a particle. Yeah, Round Rush, that is. Quantum is a thing that can appear in two states at the same time. For example, it's called a superposition. It's like if you take a coin, you flick a coin up into the air. Well, is that coin heads or tails? Right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. But what you're saying, that what they've observed in the quantum realm is that it just, whether it's heads or tails, is dependent. You know, it's not defined. It's not like a static definition. It's like, well, if you check it, then there's a 50-50 chance. But if you don't check it, it's not defined. It isn't in one of those states.
Yeah. It just gets wiggly. It gets really wiggly. You know?
Wiggly's good. But you know, we gotta be careful we don't pretend like these are observations. We gotta leave room for where misinterpreting it all. You know, we gotta leave room for that, in my opinion.
So there's this thing, and I'm gonna pull out some Einstein real quick, you guys.
Let's hear it.
We all like Einstein, you know, the guy with the long curly white hair, and
he said some cool stuff. If you judge a fish by how well it climbs a tree, you'll have it believing it's stupid all its life.
That's it, right? So the guy, he had some good perspectives.
Great nuggets.
Check this one out. So there's this phenomenon where two particles, all right? So like particle, just you break down your skin cells into even smaller cells and even smaller cells, right? Now you end up with particles, any particles.
Yeah.
Now you can take two particles and you can put them together, right? This is not theory, this is science.
It's not theory, it's science. Okay.
This is not an idea, this is something that can be done.
Repeatable.
Exactly. This is not theory. Yeah. I'm not making stuff up. I'm not suggesting ideas.
But the interpretation could be
together. What's that?
But the interpretation can still be called theory.
Yeah, whatever.
All right,
Bill Nye.
Well, you know, I just think we got to like future proof our conversation, so we're not looking at it later saying, "Man, what were we thinking?"
Is like boring. Why are we even talking about this?
Well, because it's the mysterious great unknown, and I just was curious. I was just curious where you went with it.
I'll quickly get to the point because we're losing them. Two particles can be entangled. That means they develop a relationship with each other. Right?
Okay.
Now, when these particles become entangled, they are forever linked in a weird way.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
You can separate them by space and put one out on the end of the universe and the other one right in front of you. Now, when you look at one of those particles after they've become entangled, whatever you observe that particle to be, the other particle will be its opposite.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So what's the deal? How's that possible? That makes no sense.
Yeah, well, they're communicating with each other. And then if you look away, it behaves differently. They know when particles know when we're looking at them. The universe knows when we're observing it, and it behaves differently when we do.
Yeah, that's weird. That's totally weird. I think that's kind of the bottom line of quantum weirdness, is that concept right there. Is that we always felt like
Einstein didn't have any better way to explain this. He just called it, quote, spooky action at a distance.
Yeah, right. But you know what I want to know?
Spooky action at a distance. Somewhere out there, these things are communicating with each other, and they know we're watching, and they're behaving accordingly. Like,
but how in the world did Einstein at in his era with his access to technology learned this. This is incredible to me, you know? This is incredible to me to be able to point to that specific phenomenon. Like how you're talking about observing atoms being in a relationship with two atoms at distance. I don't even understand how this was possible to find. I'm not saying it's not true. Anyway, very weird. It's a weird world.
Yeah. So when two particles become entangled, they are linked. I'm reading now. They are linked in a
Okay.
way that their properties, such as their spin, their polarization, are correlated. So
Yeah.
if
Okay.
one is spinning clockwise, the other is spinning counterclockwise. If one north is that way, the other's north is the other way. You know.
Yeah.
And so this there's an instantaneous connection now. So if you measure one entangled particle's property of spin or polarity or whatever,
Yeah.
it instantly determines the corresponding property of the other entangled particle,
Yeah.
regardless of the distance between them. So you
Regardless.
know about the entangled one just by observing the one.
It's crazy because it suggests that instantaneous communication devices that use no radio signal are actually
Yes.
possible.
It implies that all particles have something flowing through them that is one, and that is
So weird.
beautiful and mysterious.
It's so weird. Okay, let's get back to the tangible art world. What do you think?
So
Yeah.
you're whipping up very quickly some very mysterious looking.
Yeah, I'm going for a twilight tone. My thinking on this was this is just a starting point. My thinking on it was, let's get the happy vibe of gold light, but darken it so that we're at like twilight hour and create heavy atmosphere where, so I'm going to just do like a quick forest scene. And I'm thinking we're going deep into this atmosphere where we're going to see some silhouettes that we don't know exactly what they are. And it would be like a happy, beautiful scene, except it's not quite the same very bright, sunlit, happy vibe. It's not quite there. So I'm trying to get into that twilight zone. I noticed on your backdrop, here's kind of a fun, something I noticed this a long time ago. I was looking at another artist's work back when I was really just at my beginnings of learning how to do the trade.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use my mouse to hover around the screen here. And this hallway back here, it's like, oh, there's a door going to somewhere, and there's like this mist coming out in your background. And I saw a turning hallway in a painting, and it was just some pretty scene with flowers and vines. But because the pathway turned a corner that I couldn't see around, instead of vanishing into the distance, I had seen painting after painting after painting vanish into the distance. And that was a mile marker moment for me where I was like, oh, it's awesome when paths turn corners out of your ability to see,
It is awesome when we don't know.
It's awesome. Right.
It is awesome when we don't know. However, how much of our life do we spend desperate for answers?
I need to know. It's killing me.
For concrete. However, we all experience the awesomeness of not knowing.
You know what that reminds me of?
Day,
it feels really good to,
a sound coming from the distance.
Yeah, the unknown's beautiful. And
we seek to know, and we're like, oh, what is quantum? We got to understand what's going on in the quantum realm, and what are
there's an invention race.
And it's like, well, not knowing is pretty great too, because it just leaves you with this tasty what if.
Yeah, it is.
At
our level, it's like that. But if you were in a race for inventions, you got a different motivation at that point. Trying to get power and control and all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so look, what you said makes me think of this. It's awesome to feel healthy and clean and ready and energized and not full of donuts. But when we see the box of donuts, You need more donuts. You know, but the feeling of not being full of donuts is way better. We all know it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That's
Hey,
it.
Roundbrush, he definitely is on board with this sciencey science, saying light is creepy because it's both a wave and a particle. Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
totes.
I would say
Yeah.
through my journey of trying to understand it and explain it in the context of painting, I think I've jumped the gun a few times and said, here's what's happening behind the curtain. And that's just to find out, after reading about people's experiments and research, like, their data shows that you've got it wrong, you know, and that's, that's an important, for me, an important thing to come to is that it is an ongoing mystery, this subject.
Yeah.
All right, we got a gradient going into some little more foggy colors, but because I'm imagining maybe light coming this way.
No, this feels like I'm breaking this.
Yeah, you did. You broke up a little bit there.
Oh,
You broke up, but just for a moment. I can hear you good now.
yeah. So, our brother, we have brothers, and one of them has said a lot as well, talks a lot. A lot of it
Yeah.
very controversial, but some of it useful. And one of the
Some
useful
of it
things
useful.
that I always remember is intelligence is not a prerequisite for survival.
Ah,
And
interesting.
that
further.
it just brings home the point that knowing is cool, like
Yeah.
grasping quantum physics, having a sense of the supernatural or metaphysical or
Mhm.
whatever is going on outside of our limited ability to receive and perceive it,
Yeah.
But the good news is we don't need to know in order to thrive and enjoy life.
That's true.
Like, if it needed to be known, it seems like we could, but it's just fun.
You see enough people. You see enough people doing great without it. They're fun. You see, I think I see enough examples of people that are intuitive life livers. Like they go through life with intuition and they do great, like hobbits.
Yeah. So it's like it's fun. It's a thing to do, but being a human and not screwing the whole thing up, I guess, doesn't require you to understand quantum physics.
Right? Yeah. There's like some unspoken principles.
The point is, there's a beauty and almost a necessity in the unknown. We have to let go of knowing so that we can just be cool with being. Otherwise, it gets very anxiety-inducing.
Well, so with all of this, with all of this discussion of the integration of mystery in our everyday life, I mean, I think we can establish that it's inseparable. We live in a mystery, right? I mean, it's very mysterious, its existence.
Yeah.
Something froze. I was waiting to see if we still singing.
Yeah.
No, we're good. No, I got you. I got you clear.
I missed the last thing you said, but I was just talking about how the unknown is nice. It's part of being a person. It's not a problem.
Yeah, right. Well, so if I don't incorporate the unknown in my painting, just some extent, it's like missing the salt. It's like a recipe without the salt. It's this piece that is like your reason for looking is to find is to look into the unknown and discover stuff. Like that's the reason for looking, right? So when you do I think artists tend to say, oh, I have this vision, and in your vision, it still is in that place of mystery. So your idea feels great because you're imagining it and it's not vivid and clear. But then just like in a movie that reveals too early, it's like you go to your canvas and you paint the whole thing, and it just doesn't have that excitement that your inspiration gave you when you thought of the idea. And I'm suggesting that it is the loss of that element. You lost the element of mystery, and there's very mechanical ways to keep that element in a picture. And it starts with understanding that it matters, I guess.
Well, there's a certain sudden disinterest that a person has as soon as they know the answer to a question. Inversely,
that's it. Yeah.
there is a perplexing obsession to remain engaged until you know what your brain is trying to figure out.
I'd say if you're our kind of people, then that's very true. Not everybody.
No, it's a lot. It's in our instance, it manifests in us and very aggressively across the board. But I would say most people probably understand what it's like to be watching a television show that's full of mystery and
right.
And all of a sudden, you watch the final episode, and then you're like, "Oh, now I know, and I don't want to watch this show anymore."
You tap into that. You tap into that to create a good movie.
Knowing disengages your audience. If you don't have mystery, if you don't have any unknown in your imagery, you're telling your audience there is no reason to look further.
No reason. Nothing to see here.
Continue on and do not care about what I'm doing.
Yeah. Who wants to paint that picture? Nothing to see here, folks.
That's it. No mystery means no interest.
It's funny how isn't it interesting that by making sure you paint everything, you make nothing to see. You get
That's
the
true.
opposite of the intent.
And you show everything. You have nothing interesting to show.
Yeah. Fascinating. Would that be considered a dichotomy? Am I misusing that word? But whatever it is, I think that is a very interesting comment.
You're trying to solve one problem, and the more you get close to solving it, the greater the inverse problem becomes.
Yeah,
maybe exactly. You got it. Paradox. That's what's
paradox. Yeah, maybe that's a better word for it. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Hold off on that top, start making some kind of ground. So I want to do the old
we're going to get into the more religious realm here, just for a quick reference in the humanity.
Yeah, let's see if we can offend somebody.
A lot of creative or a lot of texts, human texts about the explanations for humans revolves around some human that needed to know or needed to see or to access that which they didn't know. The whole Adam and Eve thing, it was like your eyes will be opened to the knowledge of good and evil, right? You'll have clarity and knowledge of the situation, right? If you just eat this, and that was so seductive to know, but then actually knowing was a bit of a downfall. So there's this like current through humanity that understands there is a hunger to know, but there is also a problem with knowing
arriving and knowing. It's belly full of donuts. It's just not great.
Knowing a belly full of donuts is a problem.
You're like, I wanted it so bad, now I have it. It's that process of acquiring. That process of acquiring has this great thrill,
Yeah, Mavis says there's this great phrase, once you know the answer, all creativity stops. Attributed to Pablo Picasso there.
Picasso really implemented that in his own work.
Yeah, the unknown for sure. Yeah.
You know, toying around with the way things look a whole lot, really scrambling it. When he demonstrated full ability to do lifelike, it definitely wasn't a cop out from being able. It was intentional challenging of the way things should look.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm probably
Well, to me, it's,
misidentifying.
I totally understand how you feel like you live in a dream, just waiting to wake up.
Totally.
I'm sympathetic to that. You know, sometimes you have dreams so real, you wake up relieved that it was just a dream. You know, you become actively confused about what is real, and that's the thing about consciousness, is it doesn't even know what realm it's in. It just is active, you know.
Yeah, it's just active.
Yeah,
Why is it here? It is so mysterious. Well, this was kind of a happy accident having that gradient this was just kind of the edge of my mixing zone, but it created this rim light on the horizon that has that element of mystery, a gradient going behind an edge, instant mystery, soft gradient here going behind the hard edge of this dark tree. It's that turned corner, just like on your background. It's that foggy door in the distance. Man, what in the world?
Yeah.
Look at my frozen image on the screen. That is so annoying.
Yeah, you froze, dude.
Oh,
you froze. You should leave this call and rejoin it.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if that's the.
Don't know if that's a good idea. Here, I'll leave the call.
Let's see what happens. Let me refresh the page. Hang on. Let me just hit the refresh button. Yeah, we'll see if that works. We still got the YouTube video rolling. I'm making a trail here. I'm going to put little patches of light. And in the end, I want to kind of put shapes that we don't know what they are. You know, is it trees? But I'm trying to build the environment here first. I'm going to put the stuff we can see in the foreground. Here was a little trick with dirt I put on a YouTube short. Purple and yellow, great combo for dirt. Let me do that. We just put yellow on top of purple. Then I add white to the yellowest spots. And it instantly creates this nice earthy color with the effects that I like to see, like a bit of translucency, the shifting to the warmer highlight to the cooler shadow. It all is there with just those two colors. A very unique combination. So we'll use a little bit of that in here in the foreground. Put some earthy floor. Let me hit join on my video call screen over there. See if that works. We're always at the mercy of the technology.
Yeah, that's true.
And I got your audio. It's great. No problem.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can't see you, but I can see you over here on this other screen. So who cares? Hey, Mavis says those are some interesting horizontal strokes on the forest floor with a variety of colors.
Oh, thank you. I was just now while we were fiddling around with the video chat.
This is great. Hey, Lisa, thanks for chiming in here. She loves the painting, but dude, OMG, this talking sounds like the guy doing all the talking is on some serious drugs. I would rather hear about your paintings. Sorry.
Sorry. Well, Lisa, this is why
there are thousands of hours of Mural Joe talking about painting on the internet.
That's it. Yep. That's the truth. We're here. You know, me and my brother, we enjoy talking, and that's what this particular Saturday morning is all about, is enjoying some visiting. And I personally enjoy the exposure to personalities and perspectives that are not my own. So that whole on drugs thing you're talking about is the sound of somebody that thinks and speaks different than yourself. And so let me challenge you
we
to.
got that a lot growing up. We always got accused of being on a lot of drugs because we were.
I got that. Yeah. So, you know, thank you for offering that opinion, but it really resonates like the mean kids in school that always kind of strong-armed us into being like the rest and not actually voicing the way we think.
There's also like a defensiveness when somebody starts talking about something that you're not like registering with, you know. There's like
Yeah.
the urgency to keep stuff within range because it makes you feel inferior, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe I don't know
I'll
where.
give it to you, Lisa. I am annoying. I am super annoying. Just ask my wife. I agree.
Well, I think this gets into an important issue that actually can be tied to painting as well. You set up a context and you invite people to look. And if you improperly communicate the reason that things are here, we talked about framing. We were kind of jibber jabbering last night about what we were going to do on the show.
Yeah, why are we here?
So
Why
are we here? Is it to talk philosophy about life and give people the impression that we're doing drugs? Or is it to do a painting? Why are we here? And that's an important thing. You set a stage when you do a picture. There's kind of trigger points that set up expectations. So this is not a great painting to throw in a cartoon. You know what I mean? Like I don't put Woody Woodpecker. That shows my age when I talk about that cartoon character. Wile E. Coyote. I don't put that character in the stage isn't set. So I can relate when somebody's like, and by a long shot, that's not the first person that's been annoyed at me over talking. They're like, I like your painting, but man, you talk too much, because they're there for a different reason. They interpreted a different reason for the video, and it's all fair game. It's all fair game. You simply just decide if you want to stay or go.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting point too. We've talked about a lot, which is like, why are you doing this? You doing it for an audience? You doing it for yourself? Or you doing it for a mixture of both? Like
yeah.
I don't know. Like if I was out here trying to like get validation and clicks and views, for like my perspectives, like I want people to say, oh, Ben, you're so smart. You've got it all figured out and we should all follow you. You should write a book, maybe start a religion. That would be great, Ben. Thanks for all of your insightful thinking and sharing, blah, 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 right? If I was looking for that, I'd be pretty upset when someone says, dude, you sound like you're on drugs. Go away. Your brother's more interesting.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I'm here to just keep talking, man, and just fill dead space.
Yeah.
Like,
but clearly that did strike a nerve.
And you're welcome to not care. I don't blame you.
But based on the amount of time that we've been talking about this subject, that did strike a nerve. We're like, oh man.
Yeah, dude. Well, as a creative person, you're often going to have the peanut gallery not get what they want out of you, right? Because you're a performer. And so you're always going to have people that are like, oh, hell yeah, dude, quantum physics, go on. While the person right next to him is like, bro, you're on drugs, go away.
Yeah, that is a thing.
That's always, no matter what you do, if you have the tenacity to be in front of people doing your creative thing, then that's going to be the case.
Yeah. All right. I'm thinking this out. Okay, now here's the part in the picture. I feel like I'm starting to get that Bob Ross circle canvas look. Starting to get that vibe. I gotta think about how to really develop the mysterious distance in here.
Well, I'm thinking like, is that forest on fire out there?
Yeah. See, that's the mystery. We don't know. It's just kind of an orange light.
Is that like sun coming in late afternoon, or is that like something on fire and that like gray blue stuff up top is a plume of smoke? I don't know.
I've seen a lot of pictures that do a good job with making things unknown, but to make things unknown and make it enjoyable to look at is, I think, a very valuable balance, because most people are interested in a mystery if it's enjoyable to solve. You know what I mean? Like, you don't just put a giant math problem in front of people and say, the answer is a mystery, and expect them to jump into it with a pencil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I've got to keep I don't want to just put like a completely random thing in here and say, we don't know what it is. But I'm trying to make like turned corners and faded faded things that we don't understand, but still keeping the colors happy enough to make it all worth exploring. Okay, that's the goal. I'm trying to do that. Okay, I'm going to put a big tree trunk in the foreground here. This is going to help add contrast, I'm hoping, to the let's do that. That's the noise. We talked about noises being associated with that's the noise that makes Here we go. We're gonna go like this.
Good.
Thanks. Thank you. Let's put some branches on it. Well, see, this sets up the contrast I'm looking for so that my background can be interpreted as much more foggy than the rest. You know, because if I don't have a foreground that's got bolder, crisper edges and more contrasty lights and shadows, then it's just a light painting. That's, you know, I don't have that effect. So I want to, let's put some branches in there. All right, let's pull out the Bob Ross technique. Good old Bob Ross. He showed us all how to do it. You know, pulling out of different brushes. A good idea in these moments, Bob. But I'm just going to stick with this.
Thanks,
yeah,
Bob.
Thanks, Bob. It's great, man. I can't tell you how many times I've reflected on his techniques that he showed on the PBS Saturday mornings. It was great.
Yeah. So you know what this makes me think about quantum physics, Joe?
Let's go into it.
Jeez.
Let's chase away some artists. Yeah. I love
Denise
quantum physics.
To engage your audience is a great goal. Denise, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yes, it is. It is.
Yeah. Goal. Well, you know, we have to welcome all ideas here on the public platform. You need to welcome all ideas. So, you know, it's I think it's fair game to tell me that I'm annoying. You know, have to appreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, if you're going to say anything, if you're going to do anything remarkable, if you're going to exist, you're going to take up space, you're going to make any ripples in the world, you're going to displace something else. And in taking an action in any direction, you're not going the other way. So whatever I do or you do as a creative person, you've not done something else. And in not doing that thing, you're going to dissatisfy some people. And so
that's true. That's true. And
dissatisfaction of some voices is evidence that you are doing something.
And you know where else that applies? Also, it's also in a painting or a song or a movie. You're choosing what to include. And when people start really looking at it, you get all kinds of feedback, like, especially when you're halfway through it. This drives every artist crazy that's halfway through their picture and someone comes by and says, so is that supposed to be a bird? So are you going to add something in here? It's like in those comments, there's implied expectation that hasn't been met. And you're like, oh, you know, because it's your creation.
Yeah. Well, that's what we were talking about. Why are we doing this? You know, like you set up expectations for an audience, and then if you disappoint them. Well, I want my hour and a half back. Well, it was free anyways. Nobody took it from you, you know. But like you set up the expectation, and then you don't deliver. People get pissed.
Yeah.
You set up the expectation they're not going to receive anything useful, and that they're just going to waste an hour and a half watching two uneducated Ohioans, you know, wax philosophical about things they don't know about.
Yeah.
Well, you're set up for a happy morning then, because have I got the show for you?
Hey, it's all right. It's all right, brother. Don't even worry about it. We're good. We got ideas that translate to our creativity, and they're worth talking about. And I think it's cool. You know, that's a valuable concept. There's stuff you have to choose who your product is for. You have to make that cut. And so you know, in my picture, I have to choose what it's for, what it's going to appeal to. One person's going to see the sun glow and wish for birds and rainbows. Another person's going to see the shadow and wish for zombies and trolls. You know what I mean? And so if I make a picture that has the rainbows and the birds and the zombies and the trolls, it's a Pixar film that you're tired of watching by the halfway point. You know what I mean?
Totally, dude. Totally.
It's like it's all color and show and lights and action and craziness, and you're like, I'm overloaded. Well, if you're somebody like me, anyway, that is I have a very low intake of entertainment, and so when I do sit down to a movie or something, it's kind of a rare occasion, and I tend to be on overload. I'm like, this is cool and everything, but I've been looking at this for what feels like a pretty long time at this point. And
Yeah.
you know, anyway, my point was you have to choose. You have to choose what you're going to target. So in this one, I'm going to start increasing that element of mystery. So I'm going to start fogging out this background. I'm going to really have it get faded. And then we're just going to put figures in here. We don't know what they are. Let's put orange. And this kind of painting's fun because it doesn't require accurate detail work. You know, you just start putting loose strokes in there. You start making shapes. You know, we're just going to go side to side like this, kind of go with the texture that's there. But all of the accidents that happen are going to let the imagination wander. So in here, I have all of this atmosphere it's no longer defined like it was a moment ago. So I'm coming in here and just let's put a few little strips of light coming down like this. See, it's just a touch, but this maintains that element of mystery. Like, oh, there's some stuff happening back there, and the imagination likes to run with that and try to see beyond the veil. The veil being just the painting itself here, you know, the board it's painted on. So
yeah, I imagine if you get your colors and location and shapes just kind of in the ballpark, the imagination puts the rest together.
That's it. I love that concept. You know, that has really been a concept that I've tried to embrace a lot in my more recent work is let imagination put it together. Don't put it all together because that mystery needs to exist. So now if I start putting unfamiliar shapes, let's just blob in some shapes in here now with kind of a purpley colored. We're going to get purple, a teeny bit of yellow, the kind of like that dirt color. It's got some black in it. Now we'll add some white to lighten it. Let's try this shadow color right here. And we're going to go in here and we're going to put some shapes in there like this. And it's real low contrast. You know, I'm going to add some yellow to it. All right, here we go. And, you know, it's not familiar. These shapes are not the familiar tree shapes. They don't instantly fit into our expectations for a tree, you know? So it's like, what are those? You know, we got to let the paint darken so that we can see the contrast. Give me a minute to get some stuff in here. There we go. We got some strange shaped silhouettes. Go like this.
Denise loves the purple. Your atmospheric touch there with the purple is happening.
All right, sweet. Thank you.
Lisa loves the painting. It's coming together nicely.
Sweet. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you very much. Let's put a few little anomalies in here. Things that don't fit. There we go. See what's going on in that background. What is it? See, I don't even know what it is, but this makes the picture worth looking at a little bit longer, maybe a few seconds longer, you know? So my question is, what's the limit? How long can I get someone to look?
You
That's
know,
really what.
musicians, a lot of times they write songs and you know, they do an interview and it's like, hey, man, Tom York of Radiohead or Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails.
Yeah.
What in the world are those lyrics about? Man, that's pretty far out stuff, bro. What kind of drugs you on? And they say, I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah, just
And
let it be.
It's that same concept. I've made suggestions. I've put up a frame.
Yeah.
You know, I've created a
Yeah.
world. Now, what do you see? What is your imagination synthesized between the lines and then the cracks?
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, and I wouldn't call it better. It's just a genre, but it's very relatable because I think people, including myself, really enjoy that genre because life is so stinking mysterious, you know? And so it's like if you miss this element of mystery, you might be missing out on something that could really promote your work. You know, that element of mystery
Well, of course, is the personal connection, which is really valuable. You know, if you do this painting here and you just define everything and you go into great detail and you say, all right, so this tree has 5,635 needles, as you can see all of them clearly here.
Yeah, I've seen work like that. I've seen
it. And then here we have that, everything clearly knowable and focused. No mystery whatsoever. It's a beautiful, clear day. There is no atmosphere. You know, that's going to have someone completely detached from trying to interpret anything, and therefore they have none of themselves invested.
Yeah.
When there's unknown, when there's curiosity, you tap your own life experience and you say, you know, have I ever been around a foggy corner before? Have I ever walked through some trees with some orange glow? What was that scenario? You know, and you'll tap into your own life's experience and fill in the gaps with your own perception.
Sure.
And in doing so, the work becomes relevant to you, the audience member. So valuable to have some mystery.
That's it. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to add a mysterious kind of a form at the top of the tree line there. Just something to wonder about, you know? It's like, okay, what are we looking at here? It's like, do I believe in giants? I'm just going to put just a little bit. So what I'm seeing, and I didn't mean to paint this, but what my imagination goes to is people doing a ritual and a giant standing up and observing it, you know? But I just put some random forms, and I guess in the back of my mind, I subconsciously thought, oh, I could have the resemblance of people if I put a few circles. I guess I was kind of thinking that. Let's obscure it a little bit more. You know, let's take this one, kind of has a roundy shape. Let's just kind of take away that.
It's interesting. Mavis brings up the Rorschach tests in psychology, where it's just like an ink blot, and then you look at it, and you know, one person says, "Oh, it's a butterfly," and another person says, "Hey, it's my alcoholic, abusive father." You know, like you just you learn about the observer when you have mystery in the observed. You know.
Yeah. Right. So I think that this is a key component of my scene right here, because that hard edge is like, this is the wall that you can't see around, but the goal is that you would want to. That's what I'm wanting. Yeah, that's good. I think that's a good that's good insight from Mavis there. Let's put that. Oh, we got birds chirping in the background now. I hear them. How are we doing on time, by the way?
Yeah, those are my birds, man. Those are my chirpy little Southern California birds. Outdoor birds. I like outdoor birds.
Okay. There, we got our mysterious block of view. I like this. And you know what? I'm going to put this kind of makes my imagination run. I like this. So I'm going to toy with that a little bit. I'm really going to run with this gradient. Gradients are awesome tools for creating depth. They really are. You know, they always go into something or come out of something. That's what gradients do. And so I'm going to see if I can make some mysterious light come out from behind this tree in this spot where it already was kind of accidentally occurring. We're going to just dab at it until it comes out, fades into this. We got something kind of glowing right there. There we go. You know what I feel like this picture could really use?
What? What's that picture mean?
Something bright blue. You know, wouldn't a blue thing look kind of cool in this? It's all got this warm colored brown orange hue to it now. You know, I think if I did like something that's just kind of glowy and blue, that might be neat. Let's go like this. Let's add some. See, this is where you go too far. This is where I'm about to push the envelope too far and disengage people because like this is where.
What did you do, Joe? What did you do?
I'm about to.
We're hemorrhaging viewership, Joe. They're running for the exits. They're throwing up unsavory comments. What did you do, Joe?
Okay, wait. We're gonna do something fun here. Let's go like this. Let's put a bluish light coming from down low. We need some blue light. I'm gonna go like this. I'm thinking it through. We're gonna put
it on there. Just put it on there.
Blue light, bam, right there. Problem is, it's not light at all. It's a dark blue blob. I'm gonna go like this. Put some white in there. Yeah, we're gonna get some light coming up.
This moment right here. This is the mysterious moment. The in between. The we don't know yet. The what's going to happen.
Yeah. 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 I'm gonna put some gradient colors. We're gonna fade that to more of a purple because I want it to.
I see. So there's an alien abduction going on out in the woods.
Obviously, with all of these podcasts, I've been listening to this.
Unit. The yellow light is all the landing unit hardware. It glows. You know.
Obviously, yeah.
The beam, the little sucky beam, where it sucks people up, is
the sucky beam. Yeah,
it's a really cool yellow blue kind of glow when people get abducted. You know.
Yeah, yeah. That's the good part about being abducted is the light show.
It's a beautiful thing to see, honestly. If I could get abducted just to take pictures, selfies, you know, I would do
Check it out, my first abduction. Look,
is this light just not everything right now, you guys?
So amazing. I'm wanted.
Can you imagine how your IG would blow up, Joe, if you got abducted and got selfies of it?
Yeah, if you documented the whole thing. Unfortunately,
dude, how many likes,
subscribes,
and smash buttons would we get if you got yourself abducted?
Yeah, right. Yeah, all you have to do is just ruin your life. That's the only price you have to pay. Just ruin your life otherwise.
Just get some stuff stuck in some places, you know, no big deal.
Oh man.
It's for science, man. It's for science.
There, mysterious lights.
Your belly button, Joe. They do the stuff with your belly button now. It's the old way with the other stuff. Now it's about the belly button entry. That's where it's at.
Is that it?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Abductions in Alien Abductions Weekly. That was the centerfold article. So
was it? Wow, you're keeping up with that.
Times are changing. Man. They use AI now, so they can just go in right through the belly button.
Yeah. Okay. Man, there's some real crazy stories out there. It's that Fire in the Sky movie. That's our neighbor down here in southern Arizona. You know, not literally our neighbor, but we had a friend that actually knew the person in that story as a babysitter. Right, wow. Ben? Yeah. No, that's your friend. That's Adam. Adam knew the guy, but let's not.
Dude, you know what I would get? You know what I would give for like a real alien encounter, dude?
Yeah, but when you hear people talk about their encounters, the ones that sound the most credible, it doesn't sound nice. You know what I mean? It doesn't sound nice. You're
Yeah,
like,
it's paradigm
oh,
shifting. That's not a great feeling, I don't imagine.
yeah. So that's what we're doing now. We're making an alien abduction point.
I mean, I've had some night terrors that were very convincing alien abductions, you know. It's kind of my thing.
Clearly,
having incredibly vivid nightmares that cause me to wake and screaming.
yeah. Okay, so here's the thing about this. Like right now, it has all this mystery, but if I just, how are we doing on time? Let's see.
We are about
9:35.
Hour away.
Yeah, we got time. We got time. So I could really quickly make this picture not feel very mysterious at all. We'd take it out just by making these become something that we know. That's all I got to do. Once everything in here becomes something that we know, it's like, oh, it's nice. It's a nice picture. You know, I could make this a brightly lit blue waterfall. It's glowing. It's pretty. Nice. Okay. But would the picture be better for it? You know, it might look like a place you want to go. Usually a place you want to go has that sense of mystery to it. So, you know, that's something worth exploring. What if I started taking away the sense of mystery in these objects by turning them clearly to mossy rocks? Let's just do that. You know, right now they're figures. We don't understand what they are. I don't have it defined, rather. Probably a better way to say that. I'm going to turn them to mossy rocks just for an experiment. I'm going to use a light kind of purple.
Do some mossy rocks, Joe. Do some mossy rocks.
Man, it's so annoying that that my video's not working. We got a bad connection on the video call today. I'm going to make sure I fill out the questionnaire. How was your call? Bad. It was very bad. I deserve better.
My expectations were for video.
Exactly.
Got audio.
Yeah. Okay.
Is this all you're going to do? Because it sucks.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go like this. I'm gonna put a little bit of highlight on this, not too much, just a little bit. So we've got some bright green toward the top, coming down. We're gonna put some on these. Like that, put a little bit of this. I don't know why they're big, tall, pinnacle shaped mossy rocks. I guess it still has quite a mysterious element to it. Interesting. What could we turn that into? And it still has the bright blue. I don't think I have what it takes to take mystery out of this one, because I put a bright blue thing in a dark, misty forest. You know, taking the mystery out of this is kind of tricky business. Let's go like this. Okay. I'm going to make a waterfall coming down. This light is going to become explained. Light's going to become explained right now. We're going to put a waterfall coming down, one that's way bluer than any waterfall I've ever painted. Let's go like this. Put a little bit of this and
okay, well, while you I'll be RB.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We're going to put the fall coming down. We got a nice glow. There we go. It has a very different feel now. You know, it doesn't have it's just, you know, to me, it's just becoming known. That's just one of the things that's happening. Just one of the things that's happening. So it's becoming known. I don't feel like I ever land on the right way to make a picture. I never really find the right way to do it, but I think that it becomes more and more clear to me what the effects of things are as I toy around with them. All right, now I'm going to do this. Let's put that blue background into the trees so that this kind of fills it up. There we go. big waterfall background, and then we'll put some trees up the top. And we'll make them really clearly trees like this. But as long as there's heavy atmosphere, I'm always going to have that. Atmosphere is totally the way to keep the element of mystery, no matter what you paint. When it has heavy atmosphere, you're just blocking in so much of that background color to your distant objects. I said blocking in. I meant mixing so much of that background color into distant things so that it always maintains that element of mystery, because you just can't see details. And that is the value that, to me, that atmosphere offers. Here we go. Yeah, now we got kind of a shelf coming down. Let's put some waterfalls coming down here. We'll make it extend out, go further and further away. Yeah, I still have like my hidden giant up there. We'll get rid of that. We'll take away the mystery there too. We're going to try to make this picture prettier, but less interesting to look at. That's the goal here. Go like this. Make a big tree in there. Let's get my dark colors. I add purple to the further away. And just make this clearly another one of the same trees that I've got all over this picture already. Go like this, bring it down into the mist. Here we are. Here we go. And then this in here, that's very mysterious, that bright yellow lighting. I'm going to see if I can change that a little bit. Let's make that kind of a more consistent, not put that little strip of what's that on the horizon. Take this. Zoop, zoop. I love, I'm looking at comments here. We got Marliana says, like the purplish hue it has. Thank you for saying that, because that feels like a recent discovery. Discovery.
Dude, you don't even need me, Joe. You got this.
No way, man. It's hard. I can't look back and look forward and look back and look forward and have the same rate of progress. That's not actually a possibility for me.
Well, they're loving it. I'm seeing emojis come in like crazy. We got smiley faces, 100s. We got parties. We got hearts.
Nice.
We got.
Marlena was saying, I like the purple hue. I've only recently discovered how much I love purple in a picture, but there's a way to make purple at its finest, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Purple can just look like a lot of purple and not be great.
Yeah.
But using the orange to yellow gradient against purple is where I find it to just have a magical vibe that I love.
Yeah. There's a thing about Southern California that I love a lot too, and it's that same purpley kind of lavender is what I always call it. But around sunrise and sunset, there's a lot of humidity in the air, and there gets to just be this kind of lavender glow about everything, and it's just so pretty. It's just so pretty. It makes sense why they started shooting all the movies in this area, because it's like, gosh, it's just so pretty, lavender.
I agree. Couldn't agree more. So my goal here is, I don't know if, I think I'm going to fail on my goal. It's ended up to be kind of a pretty picture, And my goal is to really kill the mystery. that's in it. But I don't think I'm successfully killing the mystery. I think I'm just adding the look of kind of a foresty paradise to it, without taking out the mystery. But I took away that gradient on the horizon. It no longer has that alien abduction glow on the horizon. So I'm pulling that out. That's getting pulled. Too mysterious.
Yeah. I mean, everybody had it figured out. No, I would say it was maybe the opposite problem. It was
What is that?
Dead ringer for an alien abduction.
It was, yeah. It did.
But it's just like, oh yeah, cool alien abduction scene.
Actually, that did kind of, in that way. Now that you mention it, it kind of reduces
back into: is it a glowing waterfall of the river of life, or an alien abduction? Which
yeah. I
mean, Roundbrush wants an episode that's just aliens.
I'm in. I'm game for that. I love the subject. Right. UFOs, aliens, Bigfoot, paranormal, demons and angels.
He's going to paint on next Saturday.
Nice. That'd be cool.
If they mess up, they'll have a Joe copycat.
Hey, all right. Nice.
And adventure.
I like it.
Yes.
I vote yes on that. Yeah. What are we going to paint next week? We could just decide here what we're going to do next week. It's hard for me to run hard for me to run the show on my own. We got to know that we're both, our schedules are available. We're just a couple of guys donating our time to have some fun.
Yeah.
There, put those trunks back in.
I mean, what else are we going to do,
There, no more abduction. Yeah, right. Well, if you were going camping or something, I'm going camping during the week. We're going to go up to Lake Powell. That's a wonderful place. Dude, it's so nice.
Man, jumping off of those rock cliffs.
It's so cool.
In the Lake Powell.
Yeah. Man.
30, 40-foot drop, just
for a massive energy production place, it sure is nice. The obstructed nature.
Industrial America. It's gorgeous.
It's a pretty great portion of the Cadillac Desert. A huge obstruction to the natural canyon, but an amazing place to camp.
To a memorial to all that was slain there when it drowned.
Man, that's kind of a catch. There's a sense of guilt in a way. You're like, should this have happened? When you're looking at that canyon all filled up. But nevertheless, I can't deny beauty when I see it. Man, that place is magical.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, very few people here know what in the world we're talking about. That's for sure.
Yeah, but you could look up Lake Powell and then you'll know. Very, very famous. Branches off of the Grand Canyon. On the Colorado River.
The dam was flooded, and now we got a Lake Powell. Energy producing dam.
Yeah.
Makes lots of life possible.
Yeah. It's fascinating to see it going into crisis levels though. It was at like a 20 some percent fill compared to its max fill just a couple years ago. And that was something to see. When you would go there was all these beaches and things that didn't exist before. You never know where the beaches are going to be when you go, because the levels change every year.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a camping trip. I'm not going to be there during the live stream though. I'll be back. I'll have stories to tell of our most recent adventure.
Hey, you know what's cool about this painting, Joe?
What's that? It's mysterious.
It's got blue in the middle.
Okay.
And because it is blue, it is the opposite of all of the warm sand and warm light surrounding it. So you got yourself contrast. The only blue element is dead center. So it's the only color element, and it's the most focal point available on your frame, dead center. That adds incredible focus and dynamic to this image.
Ah, interesting. I didn't even think of that. I wasn't thinking of that when I did it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Blue's right in
you
the
put a
middle.
blue thing surrounded in a bunch of yellow stuff.
Yeah. And it
And then
seems
you
like
put it
that's
dead
breaking.
center. It's like the pupil of an eye. It's like a blue pupil to
Yeah.
a yellow and green eye.
So then this begs the question, is it really wrong to put something in the middle of your canvas?
No,
Something's
man.
got to
Dead
go
center
there.
is great. Take it from a photographer. Dead center is a great tool. I use
It has its appropriate, or it has its
Oh,
use.
powerful.
It has,
It's incredibly powerful. You want to use it sparingly.
yeah. Yeah, powerful effect, right?
Round brush, but is it quantum?
Is it? Thank you for that.
Round brush,
Yeah,
you're a
dude.
funny dude. You are.
Dude.
You want to host a show, man?
No,
Apparently, we're
it's good.
getting rid of the
Yeah.
guy.
I like how you round brush always keeps the party going. I like it. I like that.
Round brush is a party going kind of guy.
Yeah.
Marilena, yeah, it adds a sense of depth as well, having that blue there, and then all the like gradient of yellow and green.
Yeah.
Coming at you.
All we gotta do is I'm gonna turn these into arches. I'm gonna take our little rocks back here, and I'm gonna connect them like some kind of a rock formation that like arches over, maybe. How about that?
Yeah, maybe. But also, Jacob is like, hey, you want to paint Lake Powell next week?
Dude, Lake Powell. Well, I'll have it fresh on my mind. We definitely could. Definitely could do that. What do you think, Ben? Lake Powell?
I think you've done it before, right?
Lake Powell scene? Have I? I don't know. I think I've just used elements.
You've done Grand Canyon stuff.
I did do a mural on someone's wall with that theme like way back years ago. It's been and I've done we could totally do that. That's a kind of content that I stare at so much that I've got a lot of it committed to memory. So it's not a bad topic. The whole Lake Powell landscape, very mysterious, I might add. Very mysterious. There's you go up there and it's the most quiet place because it's desert. It's desert, and there's not a lot of life. There's not like birds chirping and the sound of tons of bugs in the under rocks, and it's just quiet desert. Really, just a fantastic experience. Okay, what is that right there? Tell me what that is. It's a very careful shade of purple. Right there. And go here.
Odium imbues. What's there if not nature?
Yeah. I just want to show how imagination does a better job than the detail brush.
Oh, that's a flying object. That my brain instantly knows is a flying object.
That's it. You don't need anything else.
You're done already. It's already a thing.
It's it.
Flying object.
Yeah. So I actually do think there's value to this point that I want to share.
Whatever is at the junction of those two things is less important, because you've captured the very fundamental physicality of a flying object.
Yeah, like there's a
in the world are shaped that way, therefore fly. It's most things.
Yeah, that's true. I guess I didn't think of it from that angle. There's this iconic curve, the relationship of the curves and the ratio.
Yeah, one person's like, let's make a flying cat. Another's like, let's make an owl.
Yeah. Or
I think you can
leave it a mystery. It's
a hippopotamus, dude.
As soon as if we define that,
flying, because look at those wings.
If we make it defined, we risk making the picture less interesting. I think that's the question that always is beneficial to ask. I'm not going to say what should happen. It's beneficial to ask that question: are the details going to make it better? It's something I've really struggled with a lot in the past, trying to master all of the little textures and details that I observe in the process of trying to master it. I overdo it. I put it everywhere, and you know, I
Yeah.
just
Yeah, I suppose it's a subjective question, isn't it? I would think of it this way. You put as many details into it as you have story to tell. But don't feel the need to keep talking when you've already told your story, because now it's starting to suck.
yeah, that's what we did wrong. That's what we did wrong. We kept on
We
going.
didn't know when our story was already shoved down their throats. We didn't stick a sock in it.
Dang it. We did it again.
That's all right. Well, what do you got? You got 45. Yeah, I got 43 years of experience of
Yeah, it's all right. We're gonna be okay.
Sticking a sock in it.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, can't even tell you how many. I really embrace. I have a lot of regrets in life.
Liberation, man.
I'm gonna come right out and say I'm not like that no regrets kind of personality. I have a lot of regrets, and I hold them close to my heart. I value them, is what I'm trying to say. Really value my regrets. I feel like they keep me on target. They remind me, oh, you don't want to go that route, because I have those regrets, and a lot of those regrets are speaking and wishing I hadn't.
Who was it that says better to remain silent and be considered a fool than to open your mouth and remove
Make
all
it
doubt?
certain. Yeah, right. Story of my life, man. But that's okay. People still like me.
Ben Franklin or Mark Twain or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Malcolm Gladwell. I don't care.
Yeah.
Somebody. Michelle Obama.
What do you think? Where should we go? This picture.
Chatbot told me it's got to be true.
Oh, okay. Nice. I got to put some final touches on this. We're getting near the end here. What do you think?
Yeah, that's true, man. We're getting near the end. The final countdown. It's about to go down here.
Yeah.
Joe's about to kill.
Hey, I got something to share. We might have some work.
Here he comes.
Dude, you're just putting that together.
All right, so now
you really are a creator.
You got 3 minutes.
I'm going to put some shadows. Well, I'm going to add some shadows of trees on the ground. And they're just going to, like, the shadows just kind of same darkness as that, so you don't even see them over here.
The room is on pins and needles. The emojis are coming in fast.
Okay. All right, here's what we're going to do. I have an idea.
Is like it's going to be a dragon.
It is. That's it. It is one already. There's no going to be.
Okay. Mary Lena is saying add Slender Man. I guess
Slender Man. Yeah, all right.
Round brush. Let's see some highlights on that waterfall. You want to see that thing twinkle and sparkle like it's angelic.
I don't remember the exact form of Slenderman. So I'd have to look it up, and I'm afraid of what I'm going to see if I look up on the internet Slenderman.
And Jacob's thinking ahead. He's like, I like this Lake Powell idea. I want to do a flat lake scene.
Nice.
Hey, Jacob, good luck. Good news for you, dude. Joe's got some YouTube stuff you might want to watch if you haven't already, where he talks about painting a glassy still lake.
There's a curious one.
A trip to Lake Mary, Arizona. It's a video that we made together. We put some production value into it.
Hey, that's true. That's true. Useful. But I really like the idea of painting something lit like Lake Powell. I have not done that exact thing.
We skipped rocks, made memories.
Yeah.
Watched sunsets. Went to Malibu. Watched the waves crash on the Pacific coast.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. That was good. Yeah. I would really like to redo that project, because the one thing I really missed on that was doing the research first. I did all these paintings and I was like, okay, now let's go out into nature and find the real examples. And that was so backwards. It's completely backwards. We should have done the research in nature first and then brought it back to do paintings. It would have been so much. It would have upped it all a notch, you know.
Hey, I was going to say this earlier, but now's a great time. It's a good thing to go through your life not feeling great about what you just did. Only because
I agree.
That's evidence that you're learning, you're growing, you're paying attention.
Yeah.
You're being honest and authentic. You know what I mean?
I'm just waiting for the day that a politician says, I used to think this way, but now I think this way. You know, I would vote for that person.
Yeah.
Well, depending on the change, but because embracing the idea of not being perfect and needing to modify your views, that is good leadership.
Yeah.
Isn't
that weird? You could then take away the statement that it's beneficial to think poorly of yourself in the past.
Yeah.
No,
right.
Not poorly of yourself. Optimistic about your ability to learn and assess where you actually stuck your foot in your mouth.
Yeah.
But then
that's where I'm at. I feel like I have a very joyful life.
Enough to say, hey, but you're not worthless and a total loser. You should continue on and just do things a little differently.
Yeah. I feel like I have a very joyful life, and I'm not proud of most of my past. I'm just not proud of it, and that's all there is to it. I'm not going to pretend to be proud of it. I don't think I made great choices. I'm not proud of who I am, what I've been, where I've come, the work I've done. I'm not proud and stuff. I just feel thankful that I got to do it and learn, and I have a lot of joy. Why would I change my mindset? That's so in agreement with that concept. I don't feel like I need to pretend that it was all good.
Well, you have done a nice little glowing blue stream here.
It's a crevice in the ground.
I'm gonna say it could also pass for like a fracture in the earth, and it's revealing like the blue glow of the Earth's inner core.
That was my thinking. Was that we've got a blue light that's cracking. The Earth's cracking open and exposing this blue light. Here, let's put some little sub. What do you call them? Sub stuff in there. Coming off the main branch.
I know that stuff was blue. That's pretty cool. I just thought it was like red. I don't know why. Reddish brown.
Whenever gradients and edges, I'm going to talk about gradients and edges again. That even a little line can have a gradient, and it there's a payoff to it. When you want to make something like a crack in some stone in a wall, when you want to break something open and make it look like it goes in, you can see how I made a gradient along that, and it just never ceases to prove true that minding my gradients and edges is where all of the work happens.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Just had to put a few little, what do you call them? Fissures? What do you call that?
Doodads.
Yeah. Earth's breaking open and creature is flying. And we need the quintessential rays coming down through the trees. We're gonna use the quick method, not the blending method, because my paint's all dry. This is a nice thing about water-based paint. Dries quickly. I got to stay off that blue that I just painted. We'll get water on it first. Okay. First thing I'm gonna do, it's gonna be real foggy. I gotta add, to get rays to look right, you gotta make sure that you get color in them. Let's get lots of color. So let's start with a very orange color, and we're gonna put it on nice and thin. that's why I put water on there first. Okay, let's get water. I'm gonna stand up so I can get a good angle on this. And we're just gonna go. See, I really need that color. Wherever I got little holes in the trees, I'm gonna just drag it down from there. Let me get a dry brush. The old dry brush. That's another Bob Ross trick. The dry brush takes it. Yeah, I didn't beat the devil out. Yeah, that's good. It takes the brush strokes out. The dry brush over the fresh, wet strokes takes the streaks out. That's what it does. So you get the rays. See, if I don't add the color, you can see even with that color, it still kind of has this fog effect. So that's why that is needed. But I'm going to change that.
What is your flying thing? Are you just like done with the flying thing?
I'm done. I'm done with it. It just doesn't need anymore.
You heard it here, guys. He's done.
That's all it needs to be, because what is the flying thing is a more valuable element than, look, he made that specific flying thing. Have you seen the painting of the dragon flying through a forest? Oh, big deal, But the question, what is the flying thing in that forest painting? That will get a click, to put it in modern terms. Okay, I'm going to go like this. We're going to make my trees. This is going to be see, that light color looks pretty good, but where it went over my trees, it lost color. It lost a bit too much color. Light over dark. When you're layering paint, so light over dark, you always lose color. You lose a lot. So let me try to add color back in. See where these overlap, like these branches? I need to get a lighter color and just manually paint those back in right over the top of my rays. So right here, see how that's so much more brown? I'm just going to dab this in. Wherever I have those bright rays going across, I'm going over my old tree branches.
Just a little dab will do ya.
Little dab will do ya. Right here. Yeah, there we go. See, and then it feels more, it has that illuminated feel to it more. Let's do a little bit of a hand stamp to get the excess off. Okay, so we got that ray.
Sorry, man, just round brush.
He's clever.
Killing me.
Watch out, he's clever. Okay.
He says the words of a drug user. Just listening to you talk, he chimes in the words of a drug user.
Yeah. Well said. Well said. In summary of today's episode.
It's true. It's true. we gotta have a intervention for Joe and his drug use. It's out of control.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. They're talking about you when they say drug user. You clearly are the one that's far out.
Right. Well,
there we go. See, we got our little rays of light coming through the trees. Could be better. Could be more colorful, so you can see the white foggy color. So the answer is more color, less white.
Joe, I'm gonna go ahead and say this is looking pretty dope. I think you're onto something.
Thanks, brother.
What's his face here? Round Brush also says your speed's impressive, and hey. Marilena's like, that looks like light's coming from the UFO.
Oh, nice. I like that. Thank you for that comment. I like it. Okay, this is it. We're wrapping it up.
I shared in the chat, everybody here, the episode. It's like a 20-minute episode of Joe doing a glassy lake and really getting into like how to capture that still tranquil lake vibe. So that link is in the chat there. So have a look-see.
I got a cool video to share right here. This is from give me a minute while you're looking at the side of my ear on the video. I have one here that
Joe, I can see you again.
Hey, all right, nice. All I did was just go to a different page on my browser. Okay, dude. I want to show you. Oh, it's in my downloads folder. Let me go to my downloads folder. I'm going to share something as soon as I open it up here.
Hey, Raymond Audette says, Joe, Ben, once again, you've given me lots to think about. Exciting. Now I can go to work and ruminate
Sweet.
all these ideas in my head. Thanks, guys. I'm on fire.
Nice.
Dude, I know how that feels. I know exactly how that feels.
Nice.
Make
Thank you.
sure
That's very encouraging.
and take deep breaths and look at the fluttering leaves. Those are beautiful.
We've got a very encouraging note that came to my email that I didn't want to share from a James that says, "Love the channel, longtime viewer from Australia. You inspired me to not give up with painting, with explanations and techniques to help others with perspectives and color theory. You're the first one to really hit the nail on the head with that for me. I just wanted to show you a beach mural myself and my girlfriend did for my girlfriend's mom. It's on her shed wall. Hope you like it." So I want to share this because I do like it. I think it's awesome. I hope I don't get in trouble from you for sharing your video. That's the risk you take when you email me something, but I love it. So I want to share this right here. We're going to play this video. And so I love the way you did the waves. The ripples on there have great shape. That's very 3D horizon there with the sun. And I love this boat over here on the left, the way you shaped out all the sails and everything. It's a great look, the dark reflection. And then it like fades from day to night. It's a very short video. You can see it's halfway done. Then I love that purple to the blue. Love that gradient to the night. And we got our evening hills with a nice purple-ish kind of backlight. Great effect on that. I love that left edge on all the hills. Gives them a, kind of a magical nighttime vibe. I love it, man. This is great work. And that lighthouse too over there, the glow on that rounded lighthouse, this house. Nice job doing the 3D work there. So I'm very encouraged. I want to share this because I want other people to also share your work. It doesn't need to look like mine to be worth sharing. It's something that I really enjoy seeing.
So a couple of people have mentioned a desire to paint along.
We should do that. We could do
one suggested a longer session so that people can paint along.
Oh, we should schedule that. I like that idea. Let's talk about it. We'll talk about it, make the plan, and if you want to be on my email list, then you could just I don't know how to make that happen. If you want to be on the email list from each
How should I do this?
You got to email joe@muraljoe.com. That's the email, joe@muraljoe.com. Very simple. And just say, I want to be on the list. I don't have a link set up to automatically add. I started doing it manually because I got way too many people on the list that aren't actually interested in receiving emails from me. So, So I'm going to wrap it up here. Let's close this out. We're going to go to our meet. We're going to say goodbye.
Thank you, you all. We see you guys out there. Jet Set Jay.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy the Pacific Northwest. I'm jealous. Sounds awesome.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
Thank you, Round Brush. Also a joy on this end. Thank you, Mavis. See you. Odium and Views. Appreciate it.
We never did zoom in on this one.
We'll take care of Joe. Don't worry about it.
The intervention.
That's it. Yep. Denise, thank
the joke
you.
Of the day.
America Marcy. Good to see you again. And Raymond and all you other fellas and ladies and supporters and time wasters on Saturday mornings with us. It's nice.
It's a good time. That's what we're here to do. We're here to waste the time. All right. Video's faded out, but not the audio. Everybody, thank you again. We're hitting the end button.